not the kind of green I thought it was going to be. Let's try this one. I don't presume to know. It's hard for me to project colors until I see them in real time. I'm in learning mode. When you learn how to paint, you get systemized into the law of color. That's what I'm realizing here. I don't like that. I'm going to put let's see if that goes. I like this brush better. I don't know if I want to move that spot. Let's try over here. We need some blacks. Alright, now we've got light, basically. Alright, see if you can hear me now. The glove of power. Let's see if it bestows anything to me. When I was young, I never did the searching lines. I tried to do everything with straight lines because I've seen other people doing that, and I thought that was how you're supposed to do it. I was tuned into reality. So I couldn't, and it created a lot of tension, but I didn't hang on to the tension. I found different ways to let it go. Then I learned how to get over envy and jealousy and judgment and all those other things because I realized they were part of echo response. instead of being who you are and doing it the way you do it. And so then I seen other people doing the lines like that, and I was like, oh, that makes more sense. You're sculpting what it is you create. So I like that approach. So when I learned how to do that, then I was able to find my own way, I guess. You don't really create styles, you know, they create you essentially. And just because someone else does something doesn't mean that you can't do it. Just forget what you see and try and find how you create. And then you find your expression, you know, it's for your spirit, it's not for anyone else. But if other people enjoy it, then that's all the better, isn't it? Because then you're activating your 6th house of service through what you do. And if it ain't for the self first, then it's a echo response, something you're working through to understand better, I guess. Well, for many reasons, you know. And then as you do your thing, the art starts to come alive. You don't know what you're doing, and then you fall into an idea, and then you go with the idea a little bit. Then you fall out of the idea, and then some other idea comes to you. I'll have to shade it in after. I just want to get the ideas out first. What the hell? And I just learn as I go. That comes with the tools, the medium, whatever. And the technique itself, your style, your expression. I want to try and cultivate that through not controlling it, through allowing it to be. But there's no ego in that. There's no way you can claim ego. You can only claim student. And people don't want to be reminded of their own potential. So it's not a very popular thing to do your own thing in this world. But I feel that's why you should do it. Not even from analyzing it, just understanding you can break reality into probabilities and potentials, to get the mind engaged in seeing optimistic opportunity and potential in a dying, decaying world. Because there's a natural instinct and element in all of reality which is creative, you can tap into that. And it's not just like drawing and music and speaking or trying to invent things. It's about trying to live your life in a way you have never done before. That's your art. If you can't do it for yourself, you can do it for someone else. That's another element of relation. And sometimes you have to ritualize life deeply in order to find the meaning to project into reality. And it's not conscious effort. A lot of times you're just following your intuition, your pull. So people get down on themselves. They say, why did I do this? Why did I make this mistake? Or look what happened after I did this. And they don't realize the reason they did it is so they could wear the understanding, the feeling of the gnosis, the wisdom, had to hold space within you to express through time. And so you digest these things and you move forward with the growing awareness, and that's when you shine the experience's bright side. But it has to be lived in new expression. It can't be held like a stone, like a precious, where it holds you into the shadows, you know. So you gotta find your medium in the world, tune into something that wants to express, not something that fills an ego void, but something that's pulled. You have to pull yourself into reality, so it has to be found within. Because the world is pushing on us so that we can grow out, you know. So I mean, you can rise by growing out into the world in ways with echo response, the mind, you know, because we're in survival mode. And we're not in survival mode from the primitive expression, we're in it from the exiled expression in relation to a dying society which is asking us to become more perverted in order to be in relation with it. So we have to break off and say, you know, is this really me? Is this where I'm going, what I represent? And if it isn't, that's the call to find your true, authentic expression. It's not necessarily just to rebel against a fucked up world. That's the first phase, I feel, is, you know, observing what the issue is, and then you figure out what the solution is for yourself first. At least that's my experience. And it's it wasn't a conscious effort in relation, like I didn't plan shit out, it just happens. If I planned it out, it would never happen. It has to, it's like art, you know, you can't control it, it has to be free-flowing. So now back to the picture. I have some ideas coming to me as I'm just going along. Now, there's so many amazing artists out there. Is this thing right? Alright. But it's not about like other people's art. It's about you being inspired to do your own. I mean, I still haven't figured out my style on guitar and my voice. The medium doesn't exist yet. It's like Diamond Darrell spent years perfecting his sound. What is that? Oh, okay. he fell deep into possession and he discovered what it could be, or it discovered him. You know, you open yourself up to the energy of change and it becomes resonant with what it is you do. That's what reality does to us. But it's so fucking powerful of a conception that it scares people. You're going to be floating off into this dark ocean of void, this potential never to return. So they would rather burn in the lake of fire, which gives them form. They can become what it is. They can be strong with it. So that's why the world goes through these weird things to wake us up so that we can crawl out of the ocean of fire and settle into the void of self somehow. To find some kind of meaning. I got a new idea here. I'm constantly fighting my do I settle or do I go? Do I continue? So this is a good medium for me to get that tension into an awareness, a form. Then when you recognize it in one thing, you recognize it in many. Now I'm giving this guy a supervillain chin. I've decided that's the next evolution. Or it decided. Somehow it was turning into a Native American, now it's turning into an alien. Now it's going to be a alien Native American or Indian. American Indian. Why don't we just go with that? Why do we gotta settle on a distinction? Actually. Hey boy. Got one more on that side. Whoops. That's fine. All right, now. Dreams within dreams. the phoenix. Alright, so this, we'll call him a native being of the cosmos. The psyche is expressing through the colors of reality the 10,000 things. The self had to construct a form in which it could make sense of what it had learned. The form needed expression because it was creating a block in the loop of the self's awareness. It was just responding to what it thought it knew, so the world kept expressing around it. Then everyone started expressing in their ways, and it created substance and depth, perceptions, perspectives. And so the way we're learning now is that we're learning ourselves through other people's depths, their own unique expressions, and then we're feeding that into these relations, dynamics, to create foundation for establishments, which breed stagnancy and growth. It's not all bad, not all good. It just so happens in life to stand, to move, you have to step on a polarity. It's a tricky game, so the way to do it, I feel, is to keep learning. The best way to do it is to get in tune with the spirit of learning, of expression, and however you can find that in the world. And the best way to do it is something that's good for you. How do you do your sixth house? You know, how do you find a way to make what you gotta do what you want to do? So we got to figure out the question. And to do that, you remove things. You make room for things, because that guarantees change. Change is essentially the name of the game. And so we learn to release in that way. So anyways, this is just an idea. You know, the psyche is an awareness growing, expanding. It's an immortal. We come and go into this awareness, and we relate to it in relation to the establishment of the times, our epigenetics, our natured nurture. That's how we come to the awareness of the self and the power you hold for potential as a God in reality. And then you forget that idea and you just fall into life. You follow your pole. So the mind is a golden tether. It gets you up, but then you gotta cut it. You have to release it. You just have to get clear of the noise of the colors. Remember that gang movie Colors from the early 90s? That's what this is about, that one way. You could just say it. Do you lose yourself in the battle of existence, or do you find your true expression in that battlefield of beliefs? So you become a space, a native cosmic being or something, you know? You have to be able to hold the potential. And you might call it power, you might call it knowledge, you might call it ignorance, you might call it a miracle. Or you might call it a polished turd. Or try to, at least. You know, we all change all the time, so it doesn't matter what you call it. It's phasal. You'll call it something different when you feel differently. and we're always changing, so we can't admit it because a lot of times we let the world change us rather than holding the power. So then it's a reminder when we see other people do it, and it turns on our defense mechanisms and we become sheep. That's what I despise and fear, because I don't want to have to battle my brothers and sisters in life. I'm not going to fall into the possession. But it's like, how do you win the battle without fighting? That's that Hercules Hydra analysis, analogy, parable, koan. I don't want to go overboard with the hair, fall into possession of the vril. So we battle that slave mind. It's just a slave to being ignorant of our own awareness. Willfully so. It's like when in life, if you're not of service to the self and service to other people, you live in dynamic emotional loops in relation to those people and circumstances, and you can't swim if you're holding on to that. But it takes experiences and time and emotions, feeling, to make us realize we're drowning in this loop, and we got to swim out of it. And it's not easy at first. Sometimes it doesn't make sense logically. It's a practice for the mind to follow the heart, even though the heart doesn't seem to make any damn sense. What it guarantees is you're not following the mimicry of the flow of reality, living to its expectations and standards. Because that's the only way you can change. That's the only place change comes from, is deviation, right? That's why Scorpio is power. The 8th house is power. It's these taboo things, this left-hand paths that should not be done because they do not benefit the whole. But they do benefit the whole, but it's at a very cosmic level because it guarantees change. So, in particular, if you have Uranus in Scorpio, that's your power, is change through emotional flow. But you have to digest things in order to know, I guess. Doesn't matter, what generation you're born, you've got these things that are here to be expressed. Some of it is for the divine, for the cosmos. Some of it is for your line, some of it's for you, some of it's for others, your enemies and your friends. So we're all in this soup together, essentially. But analysis is like a process. I don't like settling on it. I want to try and figure out what the solution is. But I know to try and figure it out is a trap, so I have to just fall into things that feed into the pole. That's how I developed that wu-wei idea, the feminine energy, the intuitive, the true feeling, so that you aren't deceived by echo response of tragedies past, you know. So that's part of what I'm learning, I guess. Now you can figure out your own things. There's a lot of languages out there. You've had a lot of experiences to digest from. But just know that whatever you settle on, it will change. And if it doesn't, then you're not actually growing. I got an idea. I got an idea here. It's going to be easier for me to see this way. Lights are a distraction. Even though this noise going on behind me, it's putting me in a trance. So I'm Aries 6th house, so I do best when I got chaos going on. Or I mean, I can do good, but it has to be something that I invoke in a way, but not from a control thing, from a spontaneous tuning. Oh, I got an idea. Ideas are just coming to me right now, so I'm going to just go with them. Now, I don't study animals, I don't study things, you know, so I have a pretty good memory, but I don't memorize things for the sake of engineering and that kind of thing. There has to have a emotional feeling tied to the investment. So I have a strange memory. It's almost an insanity, I guess, because other people don't. You wouldn't really know the value in it unless you felt it. So for me, art is a battle of repetition. I don't want to be like other people. I don't want to copy their ideas. I don't want to copy their style. So I don't like looking at it for that reason. I want to try and be as authentic as possible. Let it flow, like be a channel. But then, like in that channel, figure out my own style and then kind of weave my way into that. Earn that power, I guess. And you never control it, you never claim it, but what you do is you partner with it to create meaning that speaks. And some people have figured that out, you know, and it's an amazing quality, amazing gift to share. And it isn't for everyone. You know, you're a minority in this reality if you don't particularly get excited about AI art or anything. You know, the world is trying to kill itself. The uncreative potential within us is falling into a static, and it's possessing people who never saw their own value. And it's waking up people who repressed it so that they can embrace their spirit and live. That's how I feel. The buttons on this pen are always in the way. It's a complex tool to learn because it's got other people's proprietary logic built into it. So I'm become possessed by the observance of the deviations, which for me are things which challenge me and try to force me to adapt to them. Fixed energies. So my Virgo thing, my anxiety is in finding the expression, the authentic expression in things, routine, mundane things. So that's kind of, you know, Virgo is that overanalysis, paralysis thing, so it can be a form of anxiety and madness for people. But that's only one aspect of it. That's a transitional aspect, I feel, a phasal. So that you can understand the value of change and see the need, or at least awareness of cycle, or what appears to be cycle to the mind, so you can get in tune with yourself and forget all the stuff and just be. I guess that's it for now.